uh, what did I do? Oh, here I am. Okay, Eddie, it's good to have you here again today. Ms.
Thank you
Nita,
so much.
I see you on the line.
Yes.
And
Ma'am.
I'm sending this because I had some other folk who wanted to get on the line too. Just found out, but I'm sending it to them. Mr. Mouton, you came pretty close to walking away, but not sufficiently walking away.
Right.
So now you're about to have to deal with a runoff. What do you think is going to distinguish you in this effort?
Well,
That's
I'm not
going
sure
to-
that whatever dynamic existed at the time on the November election, that will not exist now, and that I want to get out there, show the voters that I have the requisite experience, that I have been a business person out here in Shreveport now for 20 years and successful, that I've served my public. I understand needs of the public in a way that neither one of my other opponents, certainly not Ms. Merkel, knows about how difficult it is sometimes to get charged with a crime and have to deal with the city court and not understand, and then to not have true access to justice, not be able to necessarily afford a private lawyer, and then to be able to afford fines and costs and to pay rent and to put shoes on your kids' feet for school, and all of these struggles that some of our less advantaged citizens face daily. And I've been there in public service, 3.5 years directly with the public defender's office, and then another 3 years plus doing conflict contract work. And I intimately understand these issues in a way that I know that Ms. Merkel could not in her short term as an attorney.
Okay, now I was doing some research myself, trying to see exactly what went on in the city courts. And I saw that there were specific cases that you dealt with or you all would deal with. And those cases, as you mentioned, it's really what the dynamic of it is. I'm trying to figure out with what you shared with regards to how individuals are met in that arena. What is it other than the fact that they may be disadvantaged with regards to them committing a crime? If they are found guilty, that they have to come before the courts, and the courts are, whatever the process is. How is it that you're going to make it any different than what the law says they should be governed by? Do you have discretion?
I'm certainly not going to do anything different than the law prescribes. That it will not be my job to impress my particular view onto the public.
That's right.
Although I do believe that since people may not have access to the necessary funds to pay fines and court costs, that we develop a very constructive and realistic opportunity for people to perform community service. I also feel that while the court is disconnected from the district court in this respect, that maybe there's some way for us to dovetail in with the district court's drug court program. That I know that these are sometimes issues for defendants that come before the city court, and the city court doesn't necessarily have the mechanism or ability to directly deal with that, but the parish court does, and these are all citizens of our parish as well. And maybe they would agree to participate in that program, not only to help themselves, but to get through whatever matters that they're facing.
Do you think that is not available to them now on some scales?
I as a practicing lawyer in the city court, I was not aware of that, if that is a factor.
No, that's why I'm asking. Is it that it's not available to the defending attorney?
As I say, if that's a fact, I'm unaware of that. And then I'm representative, I believe, of many defense attorneys in the city that practice there, and that I would believe that they also didn't know that. And we would try to, I think, expand that program. That I know that my brethren defense attorneys would think that certainly persons with drug and alcohol issues related to whatever offenses they may have in the city really should be directed toward treatment rather than penalty. Try to rehabilitate a person rather than to just, harm them in a penal way.
Rather than a monetary penalty.
Right, which is very difficult for many, many people, obviously. And we're just coming out of this pandemic, hopefully soon. And, our economy has been harshly hit by all of this, as have all of us individuals who participate in that.
Right. Okay. I think I saw Ms. Anita. Did you have a question, Ms. Anita?
Not at this time, no.
Okay. Marion, with what Mr. Mouton has shared with us, his aspirations to try to ease a lot of the burden financially for those who find themselves in such situations. Do you think that he would indeed have that discretion to do such?
I think that what I have seen is that the judges in city court and district court have a great deal of leeway until somebody like the DA or the assistant DA or the prosecutors step up and object. Isn't that pretty much the case?
I guess, I would think that even in that particular situation, that would be also written in the law, wouldn't it, that he has the discretion to exercise other than what's there in front of him as penalty. I guess that would be.
The DA office steps up and says, wait a minute, we have problem.
But see, we're talking about the city court.
But the members of the Eddie, am I right? The DA has, the city attorney also has stepped into city court in the past, haven't they?
No, that has been my impression, but technically, I believe the city court has its own jurisdiction and can transfer matters to the parish, because the parish has what's called concurrent jurisdiction, that all of the matters that can be heard in the city could also be heard in the parish.
Right.
And oftentimes I see cases that let's say the person has pending matters in the parish, that they will sometimes transfer a case to the parish for that to be handled altogether in globo. So that a general remedy for whatever was leading the person to whatever criminal behavior they're accused of can maybe be addressed all at once, rather than there being, two separate agencies trying to accomplish the same goal.
But that would probably go along in that that plea deal thing. What do y'all call it?
Yes.
When you get together with the attorneys and you come to the resolution as to what is or what is not, and you accept or deny what is being put before those persons.
Correct.
Am I correct in that?
Correct. And oftentimes the judge has a lot of leeway in what we call special conditions. If somebody is granted probation, that the judge can make it a special condition that they be, and it typically is, the person is assessed for, and if necessary, and in the opinion of the probation office, to be directed toward treatment. Although in my actual experience, I don't really see that in the city as much as I absolutely do with felony matters that are transferred to the probation and parole. And of course, there is always the opportunity for a person to participate in drug court, which is very serious. And God bless Judge Marcotte for being willing to give his time and attention to that endeavor of the parish. And, a person is doubly accountable and drug tested and has to come to the drug court and explain what they're doing. You can't just be idle and not get in trouble. You have to be productive.
Right.
It's not just enough not to test positive for a drug screen. What are you doing with your life is also part and parcel of the mission of the drug court, that to keep people productive.
Let me ask this question. Exactly, Mr. Mouton, what does a city court judge, what kind of cases, because I thought you all deal with like evictions and stuff like that. So you dealing with drug cases as well?
No, but oftentimes I have to tell you that I have a background in recovery, and for the past 31 years. And, I have to say, sometimes it takes one to know one, and that it is apparent oftentimes, or the defense counsel will suggest that the defendant has struggles with substance abuse. And once that is, agreed that is a motivating factor for some of their behavior, that perhaps we can intervene in that and offer them some alternatives. Probation is an offer, ultimately, that a person need not do probation. And if they don't do probation, then they receive whatever sentence was suspended. But to, I think, constructively try to craft ways that persons can address the real problems that they have is far more than just paying a supervision fee and not getting in trouble. And getting through probation, that if we can make it more constructive for the individual, I think that serves the community's interest far more than any other factor.
But
Oh, and to address your questions about city court jurisdiction, that city court has jurisdiction over traffic matters, that
Right.
city court has jurisdiction over minor misdemeanor matters,
Right.
including domestic abuse battery, which is, you know, a violent crime, and other fights and disorderly conduct that persons may get arrested for. The city has jurisdiction over suits between individuals up to statutory limits that the city also.
So those are civil suits?
It's civil suits, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Between individuals or, you know, whatever the maximum amount of the jurisdiction is, and that does change over time. And protective orders.
Right.
I would like to say that my other candidate, Ms. Merkel, is a fine young lady, that I have nothing but respect for her, that I have known her over the past few years to be a conscientious and capable attorney. However, her experience compared to mine is only a small percentage of the time that I've been out here actually practicing law, and I'm a very successful jury trial practice attorney. Jury trials, of course, are not held in the city, but certainly all the same issues in due process are developed in the city, and that I believe that I'm far more qualified and I'm in the better candidate for the bench in this election. But not because Ms. Merkel is not a fine young lady, and she certainly is.
And you know, and I appreciate you're giving that accolade to her, because it's not here that we're to tear down one to get the other, but to make sure that indeed that we choose one that is going to be indeed about what's better for the city and helping those who find themselves faced before the courts, that here is an option available to you, and we will indeed work with you at the same time. But then we also want us to understand too, that in our working with them, we're not trying to make it so easy that they don't understand that, hey, you're here because of a choice you made, not because of something the court has done to you.
And I'll be the new kid on the block, but what I want to do is, of course, Mr. Barber had been a former prosecutor with Caddo and DeSoto Parish, that both of the other attorneys, Ms. Sims and Pamela Tier, you know, have backgrounds dealing with individuals in the community, aside from their being on the bench. And I think all of us would recognize the needs of the community and see if we can't constructively together come up with a mission from the bench to address those things and how we can be more effective for the community.
And you know, I think that's what we all try and hope everybody will do, especially in times when we're trying to come up with that most prominent candidate that has the expertise that can give us the wisdom to be able to address or even develop the plan like you have mentioned. We know that these are trying times. We know that politics indeed has its strange bedfellows, but at the end of the day, it's about real people. And politics is just that word, but it actually makes up the people who exercise to bring that politic to the front and center.
Absolutely,
But,
that would be my job, to serve the people. If they
That's
put
correct.
me in a position of responsibility, that I will feel honored and believe it is my duty to serve this community in any way that I can do so effectively.
Mr. Mouton, has anyone reached out to Mr. Woods for his endorsement?
Well, I did talk to Mr. Wood 2 days following the election. I understand that Ms. Merkel did too. Mr. Wood was out gathering up his signs and was a little down in the mouth about being third in a race with 3 people, and just by a small percentage. And he did share with me, in fact, he inspired me in a way that he had borrowed a lot of money to get there. But he did say that, you know, if you're not worth investing in yourself, what are you worth? And
Makes sense to me.
that was well played and well said. He just decided he was not feeling like getting behind anybody and was just kind of, I hate to use this expression, maybe licking his wounds and just gathering up his signs and getting through the next few days. And he had told me that he had spoken to Ms. Merkel and that he had also declined to throw his support behind either candidate, at least at that time. I haven't talked with him further.
I saw your commercial for your private practice on Sunday at Fox NFL football.
Oh, really?
I'm sure you paid dearly for that one.
They do charge for airtime in certain places. It costs a little bit more than others, but that's pretty good viewership. So I'm happy to be out there during such a thing. And I've advertised with KMSS for the last, I think, 16, 17 years.
Okay. Anybody else has any questions or comments for Mr. Mouton?
Do you think, what do you think turnout will be? I mean, now that the,
The presidential election is over?
Well, our guess is probably less than 10%, but I'd be happy for all of Shreveport that really cares about our community to get out there and to be heard about who they believe should be on the bench in the city. That thousands and thousands of people every year come through the city court. And it is an important function of our community. And to have the right people in the job, riding shotgun over all of that, and to try to craft remedies that are good not only, for the city, but for the individuals that come before the court.
Individual, yes.
How often have you, if ever, had to seek the assistance of an administrative judge based on something the judge in the courtroom did or did not do?
I have never. I haven't
Never.
ever had such an issue with a judge that I thought rose to the issue that other parties should be involved where the judge is concerned. That, I have great respect for our bench since I've been practicing here. And I'm originally from New Orleans, but have lived here for over 25 years, raised my children here who went to St. Joseph's and then to public school in this area. And have since, jumped out of the nest. One of my daughters is in college in Minnesota, and the other one lives in Brooklyn. But I feel like I've been living in Shreveport longer than anywhere else in my whole life, that I really feel a member of this community and want to give back.
But you are a Louisianian.
Yes, ma'am.
And that makes it probably better too for us to be able to decide to whom we will send our support or put our support for.
They did call me Mr. Moulton at first here in Northwest Louisiana, but they have learned how to say my South Louisiana name, Mouton.
Oh, Mouton. I hear you. Well, we indeed on December 5th, we will know, and I'm sure we won't have to wait 2 weeks later.
No, and there won't be a line, I don't believe.
No, it won't.
I think you'll be able to get right in and out of early voting and at the polls.
That's correct. That's correct. But you know what? I hope it is a line. I hope that the people are indeed about helping us change what we don't appreciate about our city on all levels of our government, and even in the courtrooms inclusive. If we are not going to voice the concerns that we have and try to come together and help each other to change what we don't appreciate, then we need to just shut up altogether.
Well, let me say that some of the people that were promoting my campaign has suggested that we talk about restoring something to the city court, that I don't think the actions of any particular judge, and one who is no longer a judge anymore, are necessarily reflective on anything that is an endemic problem in the city now that he's resigned. That I will work with the other judges in the city court and see what we can do collectively to serve our community in the most effective manner all together from the bench, rather than us have separate agendas or ideas about things. We can work together, I believe, for the betterment of the city.
Let me ask you, if you're not successful in this runoff, do you plan on running for either judgeship or elected office again? Is that in your future?
Well, let me just say honestly that it had not been my plan prior to the developments of there being a vacancy on the city court to abandon my practice or to aspire to any other elected position. That my wife and I, once the circumstances developed, that thinking about our future, that we decided that this would be a good way for me to go forward in my career. That I believe that all that I've learned and done as a criminal defense attorney and a private practice attorney for over these years has made me capable and a good judge if I am elected to this court. And if I'm not, then I do have a successful law practice that, that's not even like a consolation prize, that I can continue on serving the members of the community that come and hire me as their lawyer, as I have over the last 25 years. I'm not planning to leave if I don't get elected or any nonsense like that, that I'm a Shreveporter. And
All right
that,
now.
if Miss Merkel should actually get elected, I will treat her with all the due respect and be supportive of her judgeship in the city as well. That if that's what the voters decide, that's what the voters decide.
Well, that's very admirable. I like that. So nobody has to walk away with feelings hurt because we will have run a great campaign and the people will have spoken. And
Yes,
I think that's what often we fail to remember is that the people speak through their voice, and their voice is their vote. And whatever they decide on December the 5th, we'll all live with it and we'll be all right. Is there anything other than what we've shared with or engaged with you, Mr. Mouton, that you'd like to share with us that maybe we haven't found out or figured out between now and then?
No, I think I'm pretty transparent in who I've been as a lawyer here in the city, and that, who I am speaks for itself. And, we will have a different dynamic coming into this runoff race. I'm excited about it. I feel very honored to have gotten the opportunity to continue on in this endeavor. And that I certainly hope that the voters elect me. And if they don't, well, I will respect that voice too. But that I will continue to be a Shreveporter and serve the community in every way that I can, and throughout the Northwest Louisiana area, as I have for the past 25 years.
Well, if I don't stop doing what I do sometimes, I think I may have to reach out to you.
Well,
But
well,
with
I
that
will waive your
aside,
consultation fee then.
well, thank you. But with that aside, we do appreciate your giving us an opportunity to speak with you yet again.
Well, thank you.
Because what we don't understand or sometimes don't really gain an appreciation is that we really indeed need to vet whomever comes asking for our support. And prayerfully, when we do so, we will use those elements, those components of what it is that we're looking for to choose that one individual to govern us when such time or if such time should be. Again, I thank you, Mr. Mouton. Does anyone else have anything to say to Mr. Mouton? Bob?
I just echo them sentiments. I'm glad that you took time to twice now to appear. I mean, there's times when we're a larger group, but just the fact that even for such a small audience that you took a moment.
Well,
Yeah.
I believe it's my responsibility that if I'm going to participate in the process of, elected officials and what's going on, I've been a registered Republican my whole life. I've voted in every election since 2000 here in this area. I understand that Ms. Merkel first voted last year for the first time, but that I feel I understand the politics of Shreveport and the needs of the community, and that I feel that if the voters will look carefully at the candidates, that I am the right guy for the job.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thank you very
that.
much.
Okay, now moving on. So what y'all think about Tuesday? Last Tuesday? Bob? What happened to Larry today?
I mean,